Hello and welcome to another episode of Page Burners. We are working our way through Midnight Tides. This is the fifth book in the Malazan Book of the Fallen by Stephen Erikson, but we are working our way through books by both authors in publication order. We haven't got to an Esselmont book yet, but we are not too far from it. I think after this one, we'll do, the next book, Lane and Corbel Broach, because that's next in publication order. And then it's a Night of Knives time. So we'll meet an Ian Esselmont book soon-ish. So, we are discussing chapters 13, 14, and 15 today. Oh, no, 12, 13, 14. 12, 13, 14. Thank you. Dan's relieved. 12. I was also relieved because I did not read chapter 15, I'm sure. So, 12, 13, 14 is what we're discussing today. We work our way through approximately 100 pages of whatever book we can, whatever is the longest edition of the book that we're currently on. I don't know what we're reading next. Shannon, could you clue us in? Is it the next three chapters?
15, 16,
All right.
17.
15, 16, 17 for next week. Thank you. With me, of course, we have the usual group of friends who will go around introducing themselves. I would like to talk about the fulcral assail and the other soul, and that is trapped in Kettle, and that maybe she was a nameless one. There was a lot that happened in that conversation. I want to break that down a bit more. Dan, who would very much like to drink the soup that Bug made for Tehol, apparently. What would you like to talk about?
Yeah, I mean, he did say it had complex notes, so it's probably just... Yeah. Anyways, I'm Dan, and I think what I want to talk most about was the whole section with the Ratcatchers Guild, because I really enjoyed that part. So we're gonna discuss that at some point. Mirka?
Hi everyone, I'm Mirka. Today I'd like to mention Queen Janelle and her motives. I think there was a short mention of that in the military discussion that was had with in the castle, in the palace, and it was interesting that she was somewhat independent.
Yeah, she just took an entire her part of the army is like mine. Anyway, we'll talk
Sorry?
about that.
Oh, sorry, I should say who I want to who goes next. Steve, do you want to go next?
Sure. Steve from Page Chewing, and the thing that was on my mind the most after reading these chapters, at least for discussion for this episode, was a quote, which was, "Destiny is just justification for atrocity." So
yes, I'll jump in. I'm Sita Carl Khan, here to assert the will of the Letheri Kingdom, soon to be Empire, upon you peons. And actually, I am going to talk about Sita Kuru Khan because Farsha stole what I really wanted to talk about, or what I wanted to highlight. I'd like to talk about him as a character. He's kind of enigmatic, quirky, but mysterious, and also specifically his reading of the holds. We get another big reading of the holds, and it seems like things are changing pretty rapidly, pretty intensely. And that just leaves.
And my name's Shannon, and I think I'm gonna pick Reload this week. I'm gonna say just his the madness we see in him at the end of chapter 13 when he's talking to Dudanos. I think that's really interesting to see where he's going in this concept of he's emperor but he's a slave.
Well put.
Oh yeah, that was good.
I just straight up, all around felt that all three of these chapters were absolute bangers. I don't know if you all agree, but I was like, had to read these pretty much back to back yesterday, and I was on a trip over the weekend, and so I saved this for the last minute, as I am want to do, and was just like blown away by a lot of the developments, many of which I did not remember, or scenes I didn't quite, that just for whatever reason hadn't stood out to me on my first read, that I was like, oh my god, like this is a lot in a good way. So do we want to start at the beginning, or is there a broader topic we want to open with?
We could start with the Ratcatchers. Sorry, Steve, you were saying?
Oh, no, I was just going to say the same exact thing about the Ratcatchers.
Yeah, because that's in the first chapter, and so it's also Dan's topic, so we could start there. So tell us, Dan, what did you enjoy about the Ratcatchers?
Definitely, I just thought it was, I don't know, a very fun part, and very, like, the whole thing about, like the whole conversation about figuring out who the Ratcatchers Guild was, and like, oh, they've had the contract for like 9 years, and like, oh, it's the best, but they never do anything, but they're very punctual. They, submit all the invoices, everything is very in order. I love that conversation with the clerk. And then all the other conversation with Bug going there and trying to convince them. I don't know, every part was very enjoyable and very funny to me. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Did everyone else also enjoy these sections a lot, or not really?
No, I enjoyed it, especially the part where Bug pokes the eyes. I don't know who was there. I guess a secretary or whatever.
Yeah.
He goes and pokes their eyes, and it went from gruesome to hilarious because apparently he was caught out on an illusion.
Yeah.
And then later on, when Bug and Tehol go back to meet the Ratcatchers Guild, they were like, we're going to investigate you. And Tehol's yelling at Bug later because they almost investigated us because he went around poking this guy without really telling us what the implications of said investigation is. But it's hilarious that Tehol is supposedly nervous about this thing. He'll eat stew soup and be fine, but he's nervous about being investigated by these rat catchers apparently. And I love that conversation between those two too, when they're trying to figure out who's more to blame if they did get investigated. It's like, you poked the man in his eyes. We wouldn't be investigated if you had it. And anyway, that whole section was hilarious. Especially, I think, well, okay. Also, the fact that the rat catchers, they just acquire rats. They don't.
Yeah, I love that.
That killed me. I had totally forgotten about that, and it just.
Well, they catch them, Yeah.
Yeah,
they just catch
do.
them. They don't kill them. They just catch them.
Very,
It's
very
called the Rat
humane.
Killing Guild.
PETA approved.
And apparently, when someone observed that the rat population hasn't really gone down in the city, they're like, yeah, we need to do population control. For what reason, nobody knows.
Yeah, they just hang out together, it seems.
Yeah. That's maybe the first time, maybe because we were seeing it through Tehol's eyes, that this idea of a floor carpeted with rats did not utterly creep me out. Because all other times that happens is like in a horror movie or in a torture scene or whatever, and it's terrible and gives me the ick. But this time it was just funny. Because Tehol didn't mind, I didn't mind, apparently.
He did kill one rat. There was that one guy that ate the head of a rat.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was funny because like all the rats often like
oh
they
my
look
god,
at him
that
like,
was
what?
so random.
Yeah.
And he was hiding it so the others don't yell at him for eating.
Yeah, he's like, sorry.
He put the headless rat in his pocket afterwards. Like, what a madman. Oh my god. I think it's interesting, and it's very Steven Erikson, how these horror elements in Letheris in particular are used for comedy. That he leans into that. He loves that dark comedy.
It was interesting too that the Ratcatchers Guild are actually a guild of assassins as well. Or like, is it maybe, I'm not sure if it is a disguise or if they are actually both. I think they are actually both. But we have seen an assassin, Assassin's Guild in Darujistan as well. It kind of makes sense that these cities have one. Or I guess, I don't know. There was definitely that parallel with Darujistan. And yeah, I wonder if we are mapping it to Darujistan, there was a leader of the assassins, right? So would that be the chief investigator in this case? Maybe.
Oh, is investigation then assassination? Is that why they
Could
was
be.
worried about
Well,
being investigated?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to keep our eye on Rucket and see what she gets up to. Also, but do we know why they had all those illusions? Why not just have actual people? Or just nobody wants to work
They're just
there, maybe.
understaffed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Maybe they are just understaffed. They're too broke.
Well, I think
Little
the
known
illusion secretaries just to make people go away, and you know.
Assassin work doesn't pay well. Don't let anyone tell you different. In this economy, no one can afford to hire a paid killer. No way.
Well, it seems
Especially,
like... Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. No, I was saying, especially when Jaren Eberict is apparently capable of killing 3,000 people in a year all by himself.
Was that for real?
I don't know. That has to be like 10
What it
people a
seems
day,
like.
assuming a year is approximately the same length as on Earth. But
I mean, those are systemic numbers. Like, that is insane.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like, wouldn't people notice if there's like 10 people going missing every day at least, right? It seems like even more is suggesting that there's more actually going missing every day, right?
yeah, yeah. Because assuming what they're saying about Jaren Eberict is true, so that's 3,000 from him and 3,000 more from elsewhere. And
Yeah.
Kettle, it's unclear how many Kettle killed, right? She's probably not doing enough to add up to those numbers. Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't that put everyone into panic? I remember like Kapustan was getting into panic for like a couple of people getting killed by the necromancers. Like here, it's like a slaughter. Well,
But were they
I think it-
disappearing though? Sorry, go ahead, Shannon.
I think it feeds into the kind of satire of Lethrus with being this hyper-capitalist state, and money is the only thing that matters. These people don't matter, they disappear, nobody cares. Because at the end of the day, it's just all about the money, and that's it. Fair enough.
That's true. But also, I was wondering, all these people are disappearing, right? They're not showing up dead. I think the necromancer, the people murdered by the necromancer were probably showing up dead or brutally, like gruesomely murdered here and there, maybe. I don't know if it would make a difference in Lethrus, though. Sorry, go ahead, Carl.
I was just going to say that, I mean, I don't buy it. I think we have two obvious suspects, and I don't think either of them are responsible. And I mean, this is strange being a rereader, but I completely don't remember, what the payoff is here. So like, I'm legitimately, spitballing. I just feel like narratively, like knowing how these sorts of murder mysteries, conspiracy, when you have a mystery like this, I just don't think it's going to be revealed this early on. And that the answer is that this one guy is murdering, 10 plus people a night. I just don't think he has the time. It's just not practical.
Yeah.
Like that's systemic. That's, that's like I don't know that it's quite genocidal numbers, but, someone has built up a proper, system, steps, whole organizations for that, or they're like, magically yoinking people.
No, I can't imagine he's killing like 10 people. Like there must be something like either they're being secluded something there or magic, or they're actually not disappeared. There's some trick somewhere. There must be, right?
Absolutely. And we do get, we know it's not Kettle because Kettle has given her number that she's, what did she say? It was like 8 and 2 or 2 and 8. It was like 28. And then she was like multiple 28s.
She can
But-
only count 2s and 8s, and yeah, it's been many 2s and 8s.
But I doubt that adds up to like 3,000, however many.
No.
Well, as far as we know, she only kills people that are bad.
Right. That's right. She seeks out the murderers, the criminals, the worst of the worst. It sounds like.
It's a vigilante.
What did you know, though?
So this is jumping ahead a little bit, but do we want to talk about Kettle here? Seems like a pretty good
Yeah, sure.
transition point.
Yeah, you wanna?
Oh, it's
ahead.
your thing. You go
Okay.
for it.
Why? Because apparently I stole yours and you gave me grief one other. Although I did that one deliberately. This one I didn't know.
Oh, fine.
So, okay. Anyway, so Kettle. Well, okay. So here's what I understood. Tell me if I'm right. So she was a random child corpse who is now currently inhabited by two souls, one of whom is a nameless one who walked on hot sands that now cover the First Empire. So I assume she means Raraku.
Yeah.
So it could be recent, it could be very ancient, unclear at the moment because Raraku is recent, but it could also be from a very long time ago. And the other one is a Forkrulasail who is apparently responsible for a lot of murders in the Azath house too. And the Azath house. The nameless one, somebody put that soul into her for some reason, potentially as a protector of the Azath house, unclear, but we know from Dead House Gates, the nameless ones are tied to the Azath houses somehow. So maybe it has something to do with, I don't know, protecting or creating this particular Azath house. And then the Forkrulasail, who's now occupying her body, the Azath house is in there. And Silk is ruin, I assume that's who she's talking to, thinks that it could be potentially malicious, that the Azak house has decided to do this to her. It's unclear what the end goal is, but this is what happened. And then there's like a little bit of a side rant that Silkisuan went into about the contradiction within the popular sale belief systems. I think that was very interesting, but we can talk about that. I don't think that maybe we'll discuss that in the full spoiler discussion.
Yeah, I think it. I think you hit everything. The only thing I was going to add was that this is confirmation, I believe, that Kettle is in fact the girl that Udanas saw in his spirit journey flashback sequence, and that it explains the connections with the Forkrulasail and everything.
How is it an explanation? I thought it was the opposite actually, because that child killed the Forkrulasail, right?
So yeah, I was trying to remember what happened there. I know we saw bloody footprints of a child, and that there was a dead Forkrulasail there at some point. And Udin has probably concluded that the child killed the assail, but
Maybe not.
is there maybe another interpretation of that situation? Was she just there when the death happened, maybe?
True. But then who caved in the Forkrulasail's head?
Wait, I think this was the incriminating part related to Kettle. Was the shape of the cave-in the size of a child's head or something? There was something gruesome related to, like, there's a very strong indicator that Kettle may have killed the assail.
There were like child bloody footprints, which I think you mentioned.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't know.
Oh, and the other interesting thing is apparently Kettle's mother, I assume of the nameless one, was the Erisal or an Eris, and we know that an Erisal has raped two men, and Silkus Ruin says that either of those could I mean, that she, like her father may be someone from the future, not necessarily someone from the past when she was born. So it could be either of those men too, right?
I think so far we know of one raped by Erikson, not two. I think Udinas
Oh, sorry,
was...
I'm thinking of Udinas. Sorry,
Yeah, I don't think
Udinas
that
wasn't Erikson. Okay, sorry, Charles Sengar then, just him.
Yeah, I thought that too. That would be very interesting. And then there's also something that they say about like that she is blood. What was it like? She will be related to the seventh closure because she is of blood or something. And it was not clear to me. What does that mean? Any theories?
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, because like I felt like I was kind of tracking what they were saying, and then suddenly she's related to the rise of the Lotharis Empire and the Emperor, and I'm like, but how? We don't have any indication that the Nameless Ones are connected, that the aerosol is connected. Maybe it's the aerosol might have sired a bunch of children that became humans, so maybe that's what they're saying. But at that point, you think it's like Genghis Khan, and like most people are related to the aerosol. I don't know. Yeah, weird situation.
Also, Varsha, you said you thought that the Nameless One was the child of the aerosol, right?
Mm-hmm. I thought so. I didn't think he was referring to the Forcrulaceae.
Not the Forcrulaceae. I was thinking about the child whose body is the vessel for the souls, but I'm not sure about that either.
But she remembers being older than a child is, and there was something about being wrapped and seeing herself from the outside. So yeah, I couldn't quite figure out what to make of that.
Also, like, I don't think it was explained or mentioned, like, why would they choose that body specifically? Like, it could have been any other body. They chose a child, 80-year-old, or, something like that. Why? For two ancient, powerful souls? A little strange.
That's weird.
Yeah.
A little detail that I was thinking about, I don't know if you all will agree or not, but we do get the Forcrulaceae's philosophy laid out, admittedly not by a Forcrulaceae, but by the ghost of... Well, okay, so let's pause there. Is everyone clear on who the ghost is that is appearing all the time now? No. Okay.
I have a theory. Like the one that speaks to Kettle and who spoke to Bryce?
Yeah.
Okay.
And appears others and is asking for 2 swords.
That's why I think I know.
Yeah.
2 swords?
Yeah.
I mean, do we know?
I wouldn't have remembered this and would have been very confused if not for Mirka, you previously highlighting the 2 swords.
We asked for the swords, and he
crazy how it all...
Mm-hmm.
You go. I was just gonna say it's crazy how it all kind of fits together now that we kind of have this knowledge of what the 2 swords mean and who they belong to.
Well, he was also
Ruin, to be clear, so we're not dancing around. Siltius Ruin is the thought, the theory of that it's the ghost of Siltius Ruin.
Well, he was talking about his fellow dragonkin too here, which I think is that's where it kind of for me gave it away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the 2 swords gave it away for me too. I named him a few times when I was talking about Kettle just now.
It's not it's not a spoiler per se because we're theorizing about it in the same, I mean, I don't remember if it's confirmed, but that makes sense. It's got to be him, right? Because he's waking up and he's attached. The other, yet again, sidebar, that it's Minandor who's like holding on to his ankles and is trying to get out. They talk about and she's really angry and she's like, these bitches put me here or something. And And it's like, well, we did just see a scene where I think it's Menendor, right? I always mix up those three. No.
It's Sheltata, Laura, I think.
Fuck.
Oh,
I can never remember. They're all the same to me.
Yeah.
My names
not
sound the
Dapple.
same too. I was also thinking Menandor, but of course not. Yeah, Sheltata.
Yeah, but
Lord.
yeah, that was Bug was drawn to that one, and it
Yes.
related that barrow to Silch's Ruins barrows. Like these are the similar, and then we get and then she's the one that's holding on to his ankle, and yeah.
It all it fits neatly together when you lay out the pieces like that.
Mhm.
With
anyway,
the prologue.
What I was saying, what I was getting to was the idea that the reason Kettle hunts down all of these criminals is the influence of the soul of the Four Cruelest Sail. Like all these Four Cruelest Sail are obsessed with justice. And so,
yeah.
and on top of that, they're obsessed with balance, and admittedly are the picture that Silchus Rune paints of them as a species, a society, is not, it's not very nice. They certainly come across looking genocidal and crazy, but that in some ways adds up with the idea of this soul motivating this child to hunt down criminals or potential criminals and feed them to the Azath house, which is itself a system for order, or that's what characters have theorized in the past, is that the Azath balances out the world by eliminating, trapping humongous powers like gods.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's a really cool observation, that the nature of the Four Cruelest Sail being the arbiter, or just kind of try to enforce justice, is the fact that forces Kettle, or prompts Kettle to kill the bad guys. Do we know why there is Four Cruelest Sail soul in Kettle? What? Are we clear on if it was the intention to counterbalance the nameless one in her, or if Four Cruelest Sail just wanted to have presence in the Azath world? I don't know. Yeah. Is anyone clear on that, or have any ideas?
I thought that this was an entity that that was trapped in the Azath house and escaped by getting into Kettle, but maybe not. I think the fact that Silchus Ruin says that the Azath house put this soul in Kettle, probably with some ulterior motive, makes it interesting. I think maybe more than that. But also, to Carl's earlier point about the nature of the Four Cruelest Sail, both of them supposedly have similar goals of bringing balance and cutting down chaos, right? Azath is a way of imposing order, and the Four Cruelest Sail have supposedly similar goals. So isn't it interesting that there was a Four Cruelest Sail soul within the Azath house in the first place? So, no, I don't have answers, Mirka. I only have more questions. Sorry.
And that's just how it goes.
Yeah, I do feel like that scene, with as much as revealed about Kettle's nature and background, for all the answers and all the information we were given, I feel like twice as many questions were then created.
Yeah.
I love that storyline. It's really, that one's heated up for me.
Oh, and the fact that she's waking up and that she's she has a heartbeat now.
Oh, yes.
Another question.
Yes. She's feeling pain-ish again. Yeah. More questions.
Creepy and interesting. We'll see where it goes.
Yes. I kind of want to do Steve's thing next before the sleep warden takes him. Shall we talk about destiny?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah, I just thought there was a section there we talked before we started recording about they kind of explore how people are manipulated into war, into conflicts, the use of destiny as an excuse to commit atrocities, to motivate people, to manipulate people, to put people in positions where you want them to be for your benefit, not for their benefit. So I thought that was all very interesting, that section about commerce and trade and how war and conflict, and that's another consideration of wartime, and to benefit in that way too. So I thought that was all very interesting.
Do you think that was a direct reference to kind of like the concept of manifest destiny? That's what I was sort of thinking about a bit.
I mean, I think Erikson must have had that in mind, but I don't know that it is exclusive to that sort of era of, colonization in the States. That like you can look at a lot of like Chinese imperial history is based upon the idea of like that, like the empire and the nation of China, which has existed really as many different nations in many different forms, was like always destined to exist. I mean, I think it is and what I'm getting at is not to do any sort of like false equivalency or anything, but like to say that I actually think it is a really thoughtful observation about how in the real world, the idea that, because part of the implication is not just that it's fate, that it's destined, but that the destiny is implicitly glorious.
Mm-hmm.
That is the undercurrent there, is that your destiny is glorious. Your destiny makes everything worth it. You are going to rise up. Your people are going to rise up. You are going to be great. And so if anyone else, gets caught in your path, well, that's destiny.
Well, it kind of has to be, I guess the outcome has to be positive. Otherwise, it's like your life's still going to suck after this, but let's go. It's like,
right.
no one's going to. But I think that's true throughout history. That's always been an element of manipulation and control. Of just like, it's our destiny to. I mean, I think every conflict I can think of had that in some way.
Absolutely. I mean, you go to like the low-hanging fruit of internet discourse. The Nazis love to invoke destiny. They're big on, this is our destiny. The Third Reich, we're gonna take over the world, and it's gonna be the greatest empire ever. And we're gonna end what the Romans started, and blah blah blah. It is. I mean, in many ways, I almost feel like destiny is one of the main themes of imperialism as a whole. If you have to justify your conquest, that's kind of, to me, seems like one of the, not just like easier to reach for stories, but frankly, one of the more compelling ones, because it's a very compelling story. The idea that you were meant to do this thing, that it was always going to happen this way, and not just that, but that it's a good thing. It's the will of the gods.
I think it's also something else, is that it's a way of absolving yourself of guilt, of responsibility, because you're like, well, for example, all these tribal people, they were always going to have to contact the civilization, get into conflict, and in some way, advance. There was always going to die from the disease. There was always going to be that sort of stuff. So, I might be the one doing it, but it was going to happen anyways.
That's a great point. Absolutely. You see that a lot, I think, with history. I mean, I don't want to speak to like academic historians, because it is a science that is constantly evolving, and, opinions, and there are as many different, views of history as there are historians. But like, I do think that often you do see when people try to justify the past, and to like paint these like simplistic narratives, it is, like you said, Dan, to absolve themselves or their people, their nation, of guilt. Heavy stuff.
Yeah,
Was
it is.
this quote from Silcha's Ruin, or was it from Serempedag? I'm trying to remember what was the situation when this was mentioned.
This was Silcha's Ruin, wasn't it?
I think it was Serempedag to
The
Hull,
Saren.
I think.
Okay.
It was towards the end, or almost towards the end of chapter 13. At the
Man,
last.
she
The reason
really-
why I thought it might have been Silcha's because he also had, quite a philosophical moment there when he was showing the fall of the crippled god. I think in a way I'm not exactly sure what exactly he said there, but I think he said something similar there about how what was it? It was, I think he talked about tyranny and how easy it is to, I think that was in reference to Kalor, how it's super easy for the world to fall into a tyranny because, I think maybe destiny was mentioned there as well. Like people think that it's a necessity, to kind of born out of desperation. Oh, I wish I wrote this down. But yeah, I think this topic is going to be repeated a couple of times throughout this book.
I will find these quotes before we do quotes. I have one already talking about the Four Cruel Assail, and it's great, and it also feels related to this. We get every Malazan fan's favorite theme mentioned multiple times, which is, compassion. You go on the internet, and if you throw a stone into a group of Malazan fans, chances are one of them's talking about compassion. And yeah, I will find these quotes if you don't yourself, Mirka.
I think it might be page 307 on this edition. Or did I? Sorry.
This the green one, or
taller edition? Yeah.
Oh, 307. Okay.
Yeah.
I have my super old Kindle, which has actual buttons to put pages, so
Nice.
I'm not going to attempt to find anything.
Let's see. Yeah, I think Carl, you have the same copy, so that's 307.
Do you want me to read it now, or are we going to save it for later?
Oh, you can read it now since we're talking about it.
All right. I'm actually going to start a little earlier because I think this all ties in. It's a great little soliloquy. Do not seek hope among your leaders. They are the repositories of poison. Their interest in you extends only so far as their ability to control you. From you, they seek duty and obedience, and they will ply you with the language of stirring faith. They seek followers, and woe to those who question or voice challenge. Civilization after civilization, it is the same. The world falls to tyranny with a whisper. The frightened are ever keen to bow to a perceived necessity, in the belief that necessity forces conformity, and conformity a certain stability. In a world shaped into conformity, dissidents stand out, are easily branded and dealt with. There is no multitude of perspectives, no dialogue. The victim assumes the face of the tyrant, self-righteous and intransigent, and wars breed like vermin, and people die. And then further on, in your world, the prophecy approaches its azimuth. That's a new word to me. I mean, I've read this book before, but I have not looked that one up.
Which one?
Azimuth. Azimuth. Oh, you're just making fun of me? Fuck you, Dan.
No, sorry.
No.
This is very closely related to our profession. So,
an emperor shall rise. You're from a civilization that sees war as an extension of economics. Stacked bones become the foundation for your roads of commerce, and you see nothing untoward in that. It basically just goes on to rip the Lotharii a new one.
Yeah.
I forget who mentioned that early on, or if that was before we even started recording. But yeah, it was you, Steve. the tying in between like war and commerce and how one, justifies the other and vice versa, how they become sort of the same monster. Greed, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is a great monologue. And I think the thing that really hits the most to me, and, for reasons, is just how the perceived necessity for a level of conformity and stability, within a populace naturally breeds violence and tyranny. And that, you see so often the idea of order historically, like throughout all time, used to justify just horrible, horrible acts of violence on enormous scales. And it comes about extremely naturally. Like people actually ask for it. It often becomes like popular rhetoric. That the fear, even just the sense of uncertainty and a lack of safety, to many people necessitates a need for violent retribution. To stamp down anything and anyone that stands apart.
Yeah, it's as easy as promising stability and prosperity, and no, people tend to not realize that the promises are false. It's just that
Right.
okay, yeah, we need that absolutely, and the tyranny is born, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then of course they also, the victim, right, assumes the face of the tyrant. It's you creating enemies out of your own, I don't know, cultural milieu, your fears, your cultural fears.
There was also, I think, a mention of something like that the only cure for greed is annihilation. And I thought that was very cool because that's what the hell is kind of planning, the complete economical catastrophe. Or maybe that's not that's probably not what socialist ruin meant, but yeah, it's true. Like, how do you cure greed?
I thought it was interesting the fact that like several times Villefairy basically portrayed, like the Villefairy Empire was portrayed as this unstoppable force, not the empire itself, but more like the philosophy and like the capitalist system that underpins the whole of their society. They were basically saying, oh, even if we get conquered, in the end, we're still going to conquer them back, I guess, because they're just going to transform into us because the lure of money is just so powerful, right? I thought it was very interesting. A couple of times this comes up in this book, right, from different people.
I think it goes beyond, I mean, what they're describing there. I'm glad you pointed that out, Dan. It goes beyond just the lure of money to like the actual power of the systems involved, and how, that they chug along in a way that they're so, grease smoothed that they would, what's posited here is that even if a completely different society, one completely outside of that culture, that economic foundation were to join it, that system itself is so powerful that it would devour them alive.
They remind me a lot of like, the sort of thing that they always say about like the Chinese empires, where you have all these barbarians and that come down and invade them. Yeah, sure. Well, they got invaded this time by the Manchu, and they were like, well, they become Chinese. And all these empires, like all these populations, they just get assimilated, and they just become Chinese and they take in all the culture and the, there's a bit of synergy, obviously.
What I mean, there's a whole conversation I think to be had there about like what people even like classify as Chinese or not. I don't, and as an American, and not like a Sinophile scholar, I probably shouldn't leap into that, but I think what that points to is like the power of bureaucracy actually, is like the way that like these systems that function really well in their specific way, that have grown so much over however long periods of time, outlast ethnicity, outlast, whatever ruling body exists around them.
There is one.
And please go ahead.
There's one more line from this section that's interesting. You are ruled by greed, a monstrous tyrant lit gold with glory. It cannot be defeated, only annihilated. Okay, I think that it cannot. I think one of you mentioned the annihilated part, but also the monstrous tyrant lit gold with glory. That reminded me of Rulad and the fact that he probably can't die now.
Oh, yeah, that's actually really on point.
No, he can.
Because
he can
Rod
die.
is greedy.
Yeah, like not die,
He
like
just doesn't
permanently.
stay there.
Yeah. Sorry, Mirka.
Sorry, I was just saying Rod is greedy. It's just not the greed for money. He's greedy for accomplishments and respect and just ambitious. But I think that's a form of greed.
You know what is an interesting. So I'm gonna like try to tie together some of what we talked about earlier with what we're talking about now, which is how the idea that these systems themselves are so powerful that they subsume, the whatever usurpers, whatever outside forces maybe step unwittingly inside of them is itself. It feels like a form of destiny, like the way you talk about it is that it's inevitable. There is a sort of conflict there, I would say, thematically. And that's not a criticism. I think it's, either extremely intentional on Erikson's part or, kind of the natural narrative unfolding, challenging itself, which I think is very interesting. Oh, and then just the last little thing I wanted to say is I think all of this we should be careful as like, I mean, we're all smart readers, taking this, like, I think we all know, like, oh, don't, necessarily just be like, oh, this is what the author is saying is true and this is how the world works, blah, 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 right? But like, I think with Silchus Ruin, it's worth highlighting who he is. I mean, he is garbed in ambiguity. There's a lot we don't know about him, but this is a guy who was seemingly, was betrayed, was a noble in his society, was himself a leader. So he's telling you not to trust leaders. He's basically telling you, don't trust me. And, he came out of this intense, war-torn civilization. So what type of man is he, right? And how does that inform the philosophies that he is espousing here? And, I think there's a lot there. Clearly he's very intelligent. I think there's a lot there that is very wisely put. But I think it's easy sometimes to, when something sounds nice, to just be like, this is the author being like, this is the point, when it's like, no, we have to remember the context of the character who is saying it as well.
Good point. Yeah, that's an interesting point.
I have a little bit more practical question about Silchus Ruin. So he's showing the fall of the crippled god. Does that mean he witnessed it? Or I guess so, from his prison in the Azar? Or I guess I'm a little lost on the timeline again, as usual. But the fall of the crippled god had to happen after the prologue, after
Which
the
I
war
think-
between.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think we could infer that from other stuff we've learned. So I think I hadn't connected those pieces, but I think you're right.
Interesting.
Because
I thought he saw it and then ended up in the Azat house, but okay, yeah, maybe he was in the Azat house first. So
he had to have been dead for it, because it definitely took place after he died.
because died, right?
Right, died in quotes. Right? As Steve has commented before, how many people stay dead in this series?
All the cool people stay dead. That's what's wrong.
Yeah, unfortunately. So true.
Okay, this is no help. I was looking for the date in the prologue. The time of the elder gods, the Eder invasion, the age of Scarbendy, Blood-Eye, the first days of the sundering of Imerla. No clue where this is in reference to the time periods in the prologue in, what was it, Memories of Ice?
Well, I think Silchester mentioned something like this world was very young when I was in it, or something like that. Which
Okay, interesting.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that actually helps or makes things more unclear.
He
Well,
does
they
say
were-
that he like incidentally witnessed it, like that he wasn't actually there, just or it was almost like he was looking at it from behind a curtain or something. So maybe you're right that somehow being in the Azat house accorded him that vision.
Well, remember that that happened in the First Empire, and Letheris is where the First Empire was. So he must have observed it from the Azath house. And that they came and he was murdered previously to that, because like just talking to the timeline of like Calor and like the prologue of Memories of Ice.
All the elder gods, you mean, when they
that
curse
takes
him?
place after the crippled god has
The
fallen,
fall of
right?
the crippled god, yeah. I
Right,
think
because they
so,
mention
too.
that. That's what caused the nuclear apocalypse, wasn't it? Or we speculated. He maybe set off. I think Dan was like, maybe he set off nukes.
Well, the description definitely was like that, like of that vision of the crippled god's fall. It felt
Such a
like
cool
a
scene.
nuclear event.
Such a cool scene. We do get some more hints about just little details about who he is, where he's from, that he came from a realm where gods were warring against each other. Him being the crippled god.
Well, I thought he became crippled because he was brought down here. He wasn't crippled to begin with.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He certainly wasn't in eternal pain before he came down here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool that Silchester says that he, tries to inflict pain on the world because pain is the only thing that he knows. Yeah.
It gave us the motivation for why the crippled god is like he is. Because that's what he is. He is pain. He's in pain. He just wants to spread pain.
Yep. Hurt people hurt people.
It's true.
Hard people. Nice. It's like that buffalo sentence. But
The buffalo.
yes.
I still don't understand that one. I've heard it. I'm like, I don't know.
There's
like,
also
sure, I'll just believe you when you tell me that buffalo actually means like 7 different things. Okay, I guess.
there's 3 things. There's also a version with 7 buffaloes. That is supposedly
what
a
is it
meaningful
supposed to mean,
sentence.
though?
So buffalo is a verb, which means I think to butt or something. So a buffalo from buffalo, buffaloes, a buffalo, another buffalo from buffalo.
What?
I thought this series was confusing. Okay, you got me.
Yeah, Erikson, try harder. Write more about buffaloes.
I don't know what the 7 one means, so I'm gonna lost there. Because I think it's 2. I think it might be 2 buffaloes from Buffalo, Buffalo, a third buffalo from Buffalo.
What?
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
What?
Oh, that was a favorite example in NLP class. Make sense of this damn sentence. Teach that to an AI model. Has anyone?
No, I refuse. I politely decline.
Has anyone tried this with ChatGPT? I need to know. Anyway, moving on.
I think Tahel Benedict would love this.
Oh yeah,
For sure. Oh, for sure.
probably use it in daily life. Confuse a lot of people.
I wanted to say, because we talked about the crippled god, so still in the first chapter that we are discussing, I'm not sure, 12? 12.
12, yeah.
There is a conversation between Bryce and Sida, and Sida says that the dolmen tile has been usurped by someone in chains. So I think that's reference to the crippled god. But I was thinking, does this align with the time when Paran welcomed crippled god in the House of Chains into the Jack of Dragons, and as an effect of that, the tile in the cadence started to show the picture of the crippled god. Kind of, I don't know. I wonder, like, are those two pantheons connected? And then if crippled god appeared in one, it had to appear in the other one as well. And then, yeah, not sure why he is in the dolmen tile though. Like, why the dolmen specifically?
I was wondering the same thing actually, but the use of the word usurped threw me off a little bit, because I don't know if it's visible to them that he was allowed in by a master of the deck, and whatever the equivalent is here, if they are aware of it. But does anyone remember what the dolmen tile was, or what it represented before?
Well, dolmen is like a big stone. That's like a funeral stone? No, it is.
I thought it's just a sacred sort of stone for Celtic people. But,
Yeah.
And
so
it is
like,
one of the unaligned, I think, in the, because they say it's of the fulcra, and I think fulcra means
Fulcral assay?
no, not really. I think it's just like unaligned cards, like they are not associated with
it's
the
part
whole.
of the fulcra. Okay, there was some interaction with Bug. So he goes to that temple and sees this diverse that has escaped from the Azad house and now lives there. I think he said something about like this being a fulcra temple, and I thought the way he used that word, it was, I guess, their variation on their name for fulcral assail. But then they also use it in the context of these holes and call it the fulcra. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that means.
is the dolmen separate from the Erikson hold?
I think so.
Is there an aerosol hold?
There's one that she is associated with. I and we know that there is the Aries people that were like Homo erectus or something. I mean, I'm just trying to like make sense of the dolmen, what it could signify. If it's this sacred spot, I mean, it's ancient, prehistory, but
is it like, because the crippled god is chained to it, so I wonder, is it like a burn variation?
Maybe, yeah. That could make sense. Tied to the earth, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so maybe.
And then,
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
Now, I was saying maybe the Cheetah's interpretation is usurpation, but maybe he's there, like you said, because Paran allowed him into the other deck.
The timeline
Yeah,
doesn't
that's
match, though, right?
Mm.
Like, we're still before even Gardens of the Moon.
not really, are
Yeah.
we?
Right? I don't know.
How much time has passed since the beginning of the book? I think
I
the
mean, I
beginning
don't think we're
was...
all the way to Memories of Ice.
Oh, but doesn't Paran in that vision of like the conversation that he has with the throne is like Rulat being emperor is mentioned there, and that already happened.
Right.
So I thought we are kind of in a similar timeline because of that. Because where was that? Do you know which conversation I talk about? When he's like in the Azad house, and then the throne speaks to him and says that, you know, this emperor, the deliverer of the midnight tides, who cannot die, all these things.
Yeah.
And
No,
I
I
think that's in
remember.
Memories of Ice.
It is. No, you're definitely right about that. But if this book takes place, I mean, my understanding is this book at least largely takes place before most of the rest of the books. But I mean, I could be mistaken. Because if he was emperor, that would still line up if he becomes emperor prior to. Because I don't remember it saying that, like, that was a new thing, like something that had just happened.
Oh,
Memories of
okay.
Ice. Like, I think he was just kind of saying as like a fact that this emperor who brings the midnight tides and cannot die. But I mean,
Okay.
I may be misremembering. I genuinely don't know.
Yeah, maybe that's a good point, that it could have happened a long time ago, and then it's just brought up in that conversation at that time. Yeah.
If he's still around, right? I mean, because that would be the implication is
Mm-hmm.
that
Mhm.
Rulad, if it is Rulad, it was still around.
All
Yeah,
right.
I
We don't
really,
know.
this ties into what I wanted to talk about, which is all the holds and the new hold reading and Sita Khan. So I guess let's hold on his actual character, but talking about the hold reading, anyone have any insights into that? The only thing that I felt like I really could peel off from that was, like, to me interesting and compelling was that I think we meet the Huntress in the following
Yeah.
scene.
And he mentions her, right? And I
Yeah.
think she's not the only one that he mentions, and then we immediately see he mentions the pack, and then Buck talks to a divers, I think.
Oh
I
shit.
think, and he's like, the pack is getting closer. I thought that's that divers that escaped the Azad house, and then Buck talked to it.
That's really cool. I hadn't pieced that together. Thank you.
He mentions Wival, which could be, you know, Woodiness and like his Wival.
True.
What-
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
Child and seed stirred to life. I wonder if that's Kettle stirring to life.
That's what I wondered. Yeah.
Yeah.
What which chapter is this? Where that
12.
It is 12. Okay. I'm just trying to find it. I think this is it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess talking about Bug. Who is Bug? Wait,
That's a
do
great
we get
question.
any hint of why he is, like, I don't know. He's more important than he looks, for sure, right? Because he knows, like,
You're getting
secret
all the
history.
hints. You're getting all the hints, but they don't make sense until you know.
There are several. I highlighted 3 in this section.
Yeah. I had a nice little smirk a few times. I mean, they make a point of it's Shirkalal, isn't it? Who's like, how do you know these things about these ancient peoples? And he's like, well, I just pick up
Also,
things.
Rocket is like, Bug is the more dangerous one of the two.
Yes, that was a great one. Yeah.
Yeah. And the way he talks with all the things in the Azov house, etc., it's like he's familiar with all of that, right? So he's for sure some sort of ascendant or close to ascendant or something like that. But I can't. Do I know who it is? I might know. I just haven't pieced it together. I don't know.
I don't know. Can we say it? I don't think it's possible to know.
No.
No, we'll save it.
I don't think you could
You
know
would
who he
have
is
to
yet.
be like truly a legendary theorist, like someone who just like picks up on the smallest details and holds on to them, even when you know these details are given like 100 pages.
Good on
apart.
you for picking up that there's more to him than face value.
I don't know who he could be.
Yeah, I think I don't remember exactly what I thought of him the first time through. I feel like I maybe just thought he was like a really powerful wizard, but I don't know.
I guessed the first time I was reading, like based on one line in the last chapter that we read today.
You guessed
It turned out to
correctly.
be right, but it was a little bit of a lucky guess too.
I suspect I know which line, because if it's a line I think that's the one that really made me smirk.
I want to know. I don't know which one it is. You have to post
I'll post it in the spoiler thread. Yeah.
Yeah, please do.
So speaking of mysterious people who know a lot of stuff and seem to be very powerful, what do we think of Sita Kuru Khan? Here he is talking about the holds and is doing all these weird experiments, and he also seems to have a great deal of knowledge. Dan, what are your thoughts on him?
When you ask me, I've shown time and time again that I can't pick up any hints. So I have no idea who.
Well,
like, I
what's your
know
impression of him? How do you feel about him?
he's cool. He's very cool. And he seems like a good guy. I have no idea who he could be.
I'm not saying he is or he isn't. I'm just saying, do you think, is there anything,
I mean,
that
there's
stands out
something to
you about
him, I think. Because he seems to know quite a lot about a lot of things. And that's always
Does know
suspicious.
a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
He's kind of like Quick Ben, isn't he?
There are some similarities, both kind of quirky, experiment, know a lot of
Very
magical
powerful.
crap. Yeah.
I was thinking more like, what was it, Farouk or something, like the one from the
Sure.
Rujistan.
Yeah.
I was
No,
thinking.
absolutely.
But
they do have some big similarities. Yeah, Baruch, you're right.
Yeah. Both being kind of scientists and
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm fond of his character. I mean, I'm always fond for kind of the quirky wizard archetype. And so I don't want to say too much one way or another, because I don't want to influence you. There may or there may not be anything, right? I'm curious. I guess what I would say is, certainly it seems like there are characters in the cast where there is more to them than meets the eye.
Yeah.
There was one specifically I picked up some foreshadowing for.
You're talking about Ublala, right? Sorry, I couldn't.
Exactly. Oh yes. I do actually briefly want to talk about Ublala, which actually really I want to talk about the three women, where I will say, we kind of railed on that running gag, but I did think it was pretty funny that they were all kind of heartsick for him. I mean, I guess it's born out of lust more than anything, but like the fact that they like took him leaving so badly is actually kind of funny. Especially because, as Tehel points out, they treated him poorly.
Very true.
Any other thoughts about the holds or Sita Kuru Khan or the three ladies who, like Ublala Pung's big personality? No thoughts.
I mean, there was some again, the dialogue with Kettle is always fun, but again, they're not really that interesting characters, and they're not really that developed, anyways. Right? They're just there, kind of.
Well, I thought they were kind of interesting in chapter 14 in how they're revealed to be untrustworthy. You know, Tejal's like, hey, war's coming. You know, maybe this isn't the best time to start a revolution, and they don't care. They just want, and they're honest with them. They say, hey, look, we always said we're just after revenge. You know, so and I think that's why he, didn't give them 50, controlling interest in companies. He only gave them 40%, and then they need him to get that controlling interest because otherwise they would just destroy. He wants to enact social change. They want to bring the system to its knees.
Yeah, very smart.
Yeah, it was interesting, but I did enjoy reading that part in which they were discussing, like, he was saying, oh, it's not the right time, and what's their final objective, I guess, right? Like, they want to destroy the system, but I guess they don't want to destroy, like, the lives of everyone. Like, they don't want to actually let her to get conquered and everyone be a slave, right? They just want to make the rich people lose all their money. Is that what the objective is, basically?
Yeah, they
I
just
think
want
Break the
revenge.
so.
system.
Yeah.
Well, they want to destroy Lazarus because it took out their people.
Yeah, but like
They want to burn it
the
down.
institutions, not the actual people.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. I guess the question is, will that change anything for the regular people as well? I think it easily could make things worse for them. Or maybe they just think it's already as bad as it gets and they should aim for the collapse of the economy.
I think that is one of the big. I don't even know what to call it. Definitely one of the things I've really been thinking about this time around is that there is so little discussion about the consequences of Tejal's plan for your average Joe. Because all of these rich people may lose all their money and commit suicide, but there are going to be a lot of average everyday people who suffer and die as a result of it as well. And none of them seem to really be discussing it and like very seriously considering it, which does feel a little strange to me because I feel like we're supposed to treat particularly Tejal as someone more compassionate. But maybe not. Maybe, Briss does comment about how his brother, he doesn't know what he's capable of. And he's, once he's committed to something, he's all in.
But isn't there a plan for the slaves and indebted to take them away to another island? Or is that only the people of other ethnicities that they've conquered?
I mean,
I thought it
you're
was
right.
only the ethnicities, but
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah.
You're right that there's some plan, right? That's what one of the things that happens in these chapters, isn't it? Where they kind of make that part of the plan to like help sort of rescue people in the fallout, some people. But I don't know. It just seems. I mean, I don't think it's like short-sighted or like a mistake in the writing or anything. I just think that it does slightly taint my perspective of this. That isn't. It seems as serious a consideration, but maybe it will be. I mean, I don't remember all the details. There are a lot of stuff I've forgotten, so maybe that'll come up much more. Much more to the forefront. I just think that sometimes it's easy, when people talk about like revolution, for example, or war, I mean, often when they're talking like even just wars, like, quote unquote, just wars, whatever, that like people, it's not to say that it's still not worthwhile, but that often they kind of hand wave the cost for innocent civilians.
Well, I think one thing I was thinking about here, when it became clear he's really after a revolution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, comfortable people don't revolt. When you're satisfied and you're happy, you
Yeah.
don't revolt. So I think he does think about the people and the cost on the people and how he can use that to wield a revolution.
That's interesting. That's a good point, actually, that he is. That's an interesting observation. It does make you wonder, also. It's tough talking about this because I know how all of this plays out, but that's sort of a tyrannical decision in some ways, to decide that you single-handedly know what's best for all the people and how to make their lives better by manipulating them into revolting. And maybe he's right. Clearly the system is horrible. I'm certainly not trying to defend it. Just an observation. But no, that's a great point, Shannon. I really appreciate you saying that, because I think I agree with you there.
I think Kettle is certainly a certain level of Machiavellian.
Yeah.
He just has good, I think he probably does believe that the ends justify the means. And I think that, he knows people will be hurt, but he knows that also what will come out of it will be better.
Yeah.
And I do think he is arrogant enough to think he knows better than everybody else.
Right. No, I agree with all of that. I love his character, but I just think it's a worthwhile observation to make.
I mean, like, are we supposed to just make a poll, have everyone go to vote to what they want to help? I mean, that's every revolutionary, every fighter for what they believe is the right cause. Like they're trying to impose their will or what they believe is everyone's will onto society and the government.
Absolutely.
Right.
All right, we want to move on to, I guess, the Teist Eder and what's going on there.
I think we have one more letter related topic. Maybe
Please.
we wrap it up and then move on.
Go for it.
I think Mirka had Queen Janelle. And
Oh, yes.
yes.
Yeah. So our crew in the palace discusses the military strategy. I thought it was very cool that they kind of counted on, and this is not about Janelle, but I thought it was cool that they counted on Hal Benedict advising Eder, and they plan to turn it around and use it for their advantage. I was definitely like, oh, this is going to be interesting how this plays out. But then I was surprised a little bit by Queen Janelle's decision to be independent in this war, or seemingly independent, but also, she has cleared the caches for the army that would follow. So she's kind of sabotaging her own people a little bit as well. And I think she, like, from the beginning of the book, she made it clear that she's a little bit of a she didn't want to be associated too much with the king. She wanted her son to be a little bit more in the center of things and taking control. So I would assume this is another step towards that. But it seemed like a really weird decision to do something like that when the empire is facing war with formidable enemy. I think they all realize that this is going to be I guess maybe they don't fully realize that, but I guess some of them maybe suspect that this either are going to be a little bit more difficult to defeat than all those other native tribes.
They still think they have enough magic to overcome whatever Rulad can wield. I think they don't know the extent of their magic yet.
For sure.
And I guess
Yeah.
we don't either at this point, other than, hey, he can come back from the dead. But yeah, I think that was interesting to me, that they are setting a lot of store in their magic. They want to, if I remember correctly, they want to send an advanced guard of their mages and sort of scorch the earth of some of the villages, right, to discourage them from proceeding any further.
I thought they were gonna destroy the Eder village, not their own village.
Yeah, the Eder village.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant like some
False
what's it
flag.
called? No, what's it called when you destroy your own countryside? So the invading person, like what's it called? Scorched earth or something?
Mm-hmm.
I thought,
Oh.
okay. Yeah, I got
Okay, I unwittingly used that term. I didn't know it meant that specifically. So,
No, there's some other term.
Mhm.
I know what Dan's talking about. Yeah, it's a strategy where you like burn your own farmland so that it can't be pillaged.
oh, so they don't have supplies. Okay,
Exactly.
Yeah.
got it. Yeah.
Okay.
And I guess they were also wanted to try and destroy the sacred places of
Yep.
the Eder, but they don't know that the god has changed, so that's not going to help.
That I think it's really cool seeing how the magic of the world plays into military strategy. Just in general, you know, the idea that they have to like target these sacred sites, it obviously carries weight when you try to think of that in a remotely, you know, real world context. But then the added element that actually like has sort of this magical, corporeal impact is it's just cool.
I thought he was very ruthless, you know, like,
Oh yeah.
you know, we're gonna like nuke their, you know, their families and then destroy their sacred sites. I found it a bit. I thought like the Seda would say something like, "Oh, maybe let's not do that," because he seemed like a nice person, but he was fully on board with the plan. You know, like it seemed very ruthless, like even for being at war, right?
Reminds me of the Avatar movie, how they target the trees as well. I guess that's the same
The power
kind of
source,
deal,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Taking the symbol, right, and literalizing the power of it over a people. I mean, it is ruthless. I think you're right, Dan, but I don't know. It also doesn't feel like beyond the pale for war, per se. I mean, it's horrible. Like, I don't support, you know, I think it's terrible. But a lot of this sort of, you know, crap happens.
Yeah, I'm just saying that like many times it's kind of like, yeah, it happens, but I don't know if it's like, is it an actual objective? Like, you know, you destroy the villages of the people you conquer, but is that just collateral, or is it like you're really going there to kill all the children and women, and you know what I mean?
Right.
And
Well,
put
in
it
this
like
case,
so
they are
bluntly.
targeting those sacred sites to weaken the enemy, right? So I guess from the perspective of a military strategist, that's a wise thing to do, right? Like that's where you should hit. And of course, it's terrible and ruthless, and it's really bad that people would think like that. Like, okay, let's destroy their sacred places, and that will weaken them. But it is actually what happens. So I see why they would go for it.
Yeah. You can, you know, look at a war that I think a lot of people, you know, believe understandably or treat it as kind of casually as a just war, like World War II, you know, thinking about what the Allies did in Germany, or, you know, what the US did in Japan. I was just reading about this earlier. Have any of you guys read Kurt Vonnegut, Slaughterhouse 5? Because he was apparently there. It's based on his experiences actually as like a vet, a soldier in Dresden, which we like the Allies just like wiped off the face of the earth.
Mhm.
And I mean, when you hear what like the Soviet soldiers, for example, did when they invaded Berlin, I mean, it's like you talk about Nazis like classic evil, but just the sheer wanton destruction, raping and pillaging and murdering men, women, and children, whoever, they came across. It's unfortunate that even when we try to talk about, try to paint, a moral picture of war, so often it still becomes, I mean, people just dehumanize the other side and, and they think about it in terms of like pragmatics, like you have to do this to win.
Mhm.
I mean, that's the whole argument behind like why the US nuked Hiroshima and Nagasaki is like, you got to shock them into it seeming like there's no other point. And we're still having debates about whether or not that's appropriate or not, but it's very real. Dark stuff today, man. Dark stuff. At the same time, we have the Ratcatchers, who are secretly assassins.
Oh my
Maybe.
god, how they offered to conquer Colance.
That was
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
He was like, "No, I was joking. You just said it. I thought, what? No."
He did it with. I mean, the idea didn't even originate from him. They just suggested it and then ran with it, and he had to pull them back bodily. Anyway, I think we can now move on to the Testida chapter. We did talk about it a little bit with Steve's thing, but I suppose we'll do Rulad, Shannon's topic, and then about anything else we have left after, because that's all the topics.
Shannon, take us away.
No. Yeah. So we got deeper into Rulad this chapter, and we found out that he. I mean, I think he is mad. I mean, he's, I think the crippled god's talking to him and telling him what to do, and he's flips out on Udnas all the time, and he sends him to go do something, and then why were you away so long? I mean, so clearly he's not well. And Udnas even brings up the idea that maybe he's a slave, which then he scoffs at and upsets him, I think. But he is. I mean, he's a slave to the god at this point.
I love that bit. That was one of my favorites. That Udanas highlighting how they're really like the same, and he doesn't. Of course, there is, there are differences, but and they're both subservient to and controlled by this other power.
Yeah.
He's an interesting character. Roulette.
Yeah.
I'm definitely back to like hating his guts, and we seem to get further confirmation that he was always lusting after Mayan in a hardcore way.
Yes.
But that scene was tough. That was tough, but interesting. I did think there was a lot going on there, as I think we briefly discussed before we started recording. A lot of character stuff, different changing dynamics, and yeah.
I did like the meeting between them all when war gets declared, and how quick the first eunuch was to pick up on what was going on, and then the prince is all blustering and carrying on. And then later on they mentioned how the eunuch mourned for them, because I guess from his perspective he thinks they're going to lose, the Edor are going to lose, they're going to attack us and die, and so he's sad for him. And so Rulad thinks, well, maybe we should give mercy for that.
Me, when I'm about to play Monopoly with my friends, I'm so sad for you guys. It's just you're gonna lose so horribly, all your money.
And then do you lose horribly?
Always. I don't know if I've ever won a game of Monopoly in my life.
Okay. We'll see
I
if
want you to
letter shares
ask.
that fate. Sorry, Dan.
Yeah, I want to ask, like, how much do you think he is in control? Because he did say, like, oh, I have this voice in my head, the crippled god suggesting me what to do. But is it actually just suggesting, or is it more control than that?
Well, he does rationalize and say the thoughts are already there. He's just ordering them up for me. But I mean, I think that's all it is, like rationalization. He's claiming that there are no new thoughts, but also, how would he know? And yeah,
I think he's fully under the crippled god's sway. I
He
mean,
speaks differently, right? Like he
Exactly.
doesn't speak the same way.
It's really apparent in this chapter, and I think they even talk about it, how like just the way he acts, behaves. I mean, there's like one thing to like code switch and another thing to like have a complete personality shift. I do think he has some agency still. Like I don't think the crippled god cares about Mayan and would have done any of that sort of situation there. In fact, I bet he would have probably thought that was a bad idea. But I think that was a roulette thing.
I disagree. I think the crippled god likes to spread misery and pain, and I think what he did with Mayan, it upset his brother, it upsets her, I think it's right in line with him.
That's fair.
I think it's why Roulot is the perfect champion for the crippled god.
Why
and I was also thinking
that he would.
You go, Margaret.
I was going to ask Carl, why did you think that crippled god would not approve of what happened with May?
Because I think it's maybe politically a mistake. I think the crippled god is a little more Machiavellian than that. Like that to me read as a very sort of instinctual decision that Roulade made, as opposed to a lot of the other kind of political changes he's made. But I mean, I could be wrong. I mean, I think, Shannon, you make a fair point that if his main aim is to cause pain, then he might see that as a win, just for the amount of pain it causes.
And I was gonna say earlier when you said hurt people, it made me. I was thinking about Hull, and I was like, I realized Hull is actually perfect for this side too, because he's been hurt. Lether's hurt him, and now here he is siding with the crippled god and Roulade, and not even knowing he is, but he is.
That was a sad scene with Hull and Serenpedak. I don't think I felt it quite as strongly as maybe I was supposed to, but I wish we saw more of their relationship. Like that was what I was missing a little bit. But I thought it was a good scene.
Yeah, they're obviously both, very perceptive and smart and troubled and kind of desperate in their thoughts. Yeah, I really like how the author is telling us these two would understand each other, would be a really good fit for each other. And then they just walk away, going their own separate paths. Yeah.
Because they have that fundamental difference, as Hull highlights, that he feels so angry and broken that scorched earth. What else happens? What else do we have? Is there anything?
Don't Fear and Trull have a confrontation in this?
True. Yes. Udanos and Featherwitch, they're on the outs.
I just don't care about Udanos and Featherwitch. I just find her so annoying.
I could sympathize with her in that position, but I mean, Udanas is being kind of an angsty dickhead, you know.
I feel
I
like
don't
she's
know.
really mean to him very unnecessarily, and I do believe him when he says that he doesn't care about her very much anymore. She thinks that he's still hung up on her, but I think Udinas has bigger things to worry about right now.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic. Like Shannon, I don't care very much for it, but as much as it comes up on the page, I really, really do not like Featherwitch, which is interesting because the way she was introduced to us at first, I expected to like her, but she's just terrible.
I don't like her, but I really like their dynamic. I like the push and pull of it, and that there was this sort of you know that Udinas's love, his infatuation, whatever you want to call it, for her, you know, created this undercurrent and that it wasn't returned, and you know that they share so much. They have these secrets that no one else knows, and they feel like they're interconnected to me in a way that's like they reveal things about each other that there may be, you know, for a while I maybe would have said Udinov was comfortable with, but I think that scene in particular, they're falling out, really kind of highlights how he's failing to process things, and Featherwitch just shoves that in his face. And yeah, in a not so nice way, because like you do think of him as like a relatively nice person, you know, especially in the cast as a whole. Not very nice right there, though.
I mentioned the end of the Rulad and the Lethrus scene, but that whole thing I actually really liked, especially the beginning and how twisted they are when they approach him, and it's like, oh, we want a new treaty. Oh, but by the way, those guys you killed, you took what they were harvesting, and now you owe us taxes on it.
That was crazy.
Even though they were stealing from you guys.
That's yeah, it was like, read the room. Oh my god. This is not what you should bring up right now.
But I guess it worked for them because they said that's what they did to these other tribes, the smaller tribes, and it worked. I mean, they put them in debt and stuff and turned them into their slaves just by manipulating them. Yeah. I was like, that is insane to try to charge them tax on something that you tried to steal from them that they took back.
That was a serious blood boiling moment. I got angry. I can't imagine any Tistid sitting through that.
Well, that was one. They were very smart about it. They said, "Well, we didn't take anything. We left it on the boat and sent it down."
Now you owe us.
This is such a to me a perfect epitomizing of like a morally gray conflict where both sides are terrible for, you know, different reasons, and it's hard. Like, I think instinctually, you know, the way we're sort of culturally wired, that we want to root for the underdog, the, you know, the rebels, the you know, the tribes who are having, you know, are being colonized, and yet, you know, these tribes, they have slaves, they now have a tyrant in charge of them. That tyrant works for a god who is actively, well, you know, maybe the single most destructive force in the world at this point. And so you're like cheering for them, or your part of you wants to, but then you're also like, but really, it probably wouldn't be a good thing if they win. You know, like that's kind of supporting like a whole nother type of evil. It's a no-win scenario in many ways. And, you know, likewise in Letheris, we're like, you know, we hate their system, you know, the corruption, the tyranny, the greed. But there are people there that we really like, and that you just don't want to see absolutely everything get like razed to the ground. Brice, for example, like works for this corrupt government, but like he seems like a really solid dude, and you don't want to just see him get murdered.
Well, Ceda's great too. I love Ceda. In
I
fact, well,
agree.
the Emperor. I actually really like the Emperor. His family
Yeah.
sucks, but he's pretty cool.
That's a really good point. I also expected him to be kind of like that, very useless kind of emperor figure that we see so often. But then he's actually, I think you're right, Shannon. He seems to be very reasonable and very smart guy and on top of things, which is a nice change. Quite often, these rulers are not like that.
It seems
Well,
maybe
but
a
the
bit
thing is,
too
I think
chill.
he's. What'd you say, Dan?
I would just say he seems maybe a bit too chill sometimes.
I was about to say, I think the problem is that he's not really running Letherus. Like, he's just kind of letting Letherus run off
He's a
and do,
figurehead.
because he is the figurehead of Letherus as they're doing this thing to all these other tribes. It doesn't look like he's doing it, but then he's just letting his country do it.
Who says that? Is it still just Ruin who like, or says something similar to that? How like, someone is arguing with, I want to say it's like Brice, and he says, Brice is like, oh, the king is a decent man or something like that. And whoever he's arguing with is like, well, you think he's really the symbol of your country? Like, you think he's the truth of who, what Letherus is? No, he's not.
He's I agree with. Yeah, I think you're right. I think that was still just. But yeah.
Oh, it was Silch's room, because that was when Silchus was like, "Bring me the swords. I need 2 swords."
Yeah. So about the swords, something that I realized and I thought it was really cool is that I think it is said somewhere there that Rulad is now controlling the shadow rays thanks to the sword that he owns. And oh my god, it makes so much sense. The sword is made of the fragments of Silch's Ruin's swords, who was a Tiste Andi. Raids are Tiste Andi. They are his soldiers. So now Rulad owns the sword. Oh my god. Isn't it
That's a great
genius?
point.
That makes sense, yeah.
There was another thing interesting about that. I think the Jada tells Brice that the more imperfect a sword is, the more easy it is to invest it with sorcery. And apparently Rulad's sword has a lot of like imperfect chunks that aren't really part of the metal, so it might have a lot of sorcery invested in it.
Good point.
Yeah.
Great point.
And then talking about Silch's Ruin, and Kettle, really, I did want to bring up. I thought it was interesting how twice it brought up how it was important that the Sita didn't know that she's undead, because like in the scene it points it out, but then later, Bug is like, "Oh, the Sita hasn't come by to see you yet. If he knew about you, he would certainly be here." So like, I think that's the ramification, that seems like it's going to be extremely important. Yeah.
But Brice failed to tell the Jada that Kettle is undead, just that she's a child.
Yeah.
That's all he told him.
Yeah, just forgot one word, and I guess this is going to have big implications later.
Yeah.
I wonder, why is it so important? Is that because of like it doesn't really imply that there are souls within her, the fact that she's dead, right? It's just that
I think
she's
I think it's because it stopped him from going to her. So whatever that would have had, like whatever would have come from that would have been, I guess, good. But yeah, he didn't bother to go check her out because he thought she was just a little girl.
No, yeah, no. I mean, I get that. I just wonder why, like, the narrator tells us that Brice didn't mention that, and that was a mistake, or like otherwise Sita would have reacted differently. I just wonder, like right now at this moment, why do we know why that is important?
No. And I've read this and I don't remember why it's important, so I'm looking forward to rediscovering.
Yeah, same.
Last little thing I want to talk about is a question for Dan. We get much more mentions of the errant, and in the Hold reading, we are told the errant is at the center of things. What are your thoughts on the errant?
I mean, errant, someone that travels, right? I don't know
It
what.
seems to be the main god of the Lethrus.
Yeah.
They're always swearing by him.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's someone we know, or something that was referenced before. I don't know. I'm just trying to think who would be called in that. Wait. How about fuck, what's his name? The guy that loves clocks. He loves clocks. What's his name?
Icarium?
The who?
Yeah, Icarium. Could be him. He's traveling. He's an errant. I could describe him as an errant.
I love that the way you
Errant.
reference him. Of all of the traits to say, you go, the guy who loves clocks.
I just remembered he does like clocks, right?
Well, I still have Dan's predictions from last book, so that's going on Dan's predictions. The errant
Oh,
is...
that's true. That's a good one.
It could be.
I like it.
It could be.
There's just so many characters, though, but like, I don't know, like, it feels like I'm just choosing one of like 500 different people that have been mentioned. You know?
Absolutely.
I would not want to be in Dan's position. Like, well, Dan, tell us about what you think. And then we all know the answer. We should go easy on it.
Oh no, no way.
I don't know. It's pretty tough.
Who knows,
with Malazan,
Dan? Who knows?
I feel. Yeah, but with the other series, there's not that many characters. Like, it's different. It's not about the characters. It's about the plot and the story. Here, it's more about
You say that, but R. Scott Baker, I don't want to get way off here, but remember how freaking impossible it is to differentiate between all the different cultures and societies and the characters who all have the most insane names you've ever read.
Very true.
Insanity.
They were not important mostly. I feel like in the Malazan world, there are more important characters that you need to...
I would agree with that. There are more characters. Yeah. You have more characters that actually matter. That's definitely true. The important cast is relatively more contained.
If there's more like a puzzle, which is like a logic puzzle, it's like, which of these clues fits? Like, okay, this clue eliminates these people. This other clue eliminates these people. What's the intersection of these groups?
Nice.
But I can't figure it out.
I wouldn't expect it, to be honest. Like, it's if you were confident and you had like a bullseye, I would be so shocked. I would question if you had delved into the depths of the wiki.
That's I mean, I do look into a wiki without regret, because I just even if I see something, I'm like, okay, I don't know how it's connected to the story, and I don't know if it shows up in one of a million different books, and I'm gonna forget about it anyways.
So I did that once, and I got random spoilers because I figured, there'll probably be names I won't recognize anyway. I'm far away from any of those books, so it's fine. I'll read this and I'll forget about it. But I got some major spoilers that I could not forget.
Oh, really?
Until the very end. So
foolishly, when I was first reading Gardens of the Moon, looked up Whiskey Jack. I don't remember what I was trying to find, like fan art or something. And oh boy, I had his death spoiled for me right off the bat.
I had it spoiled as well by a friend by mistake.
Really?
He was so apologetic, but it was great.
I had the death and the murderer of someone's spoil. Like there were two people involved whom you would not forget, because a third person apparently witnessed that event happening. Like and that was in the wiki of the third person's page. Like why are you doing this?
For me, it wasn't even the wiki. I literally just saw like Reddit headlines. It just popped right up in Google, and I was like, well, game over.
I feel like the wiki, though, like most of the time it splits the information by book. So you can just like zoom into that section and you like not be spoiled because it's like the books you've already read.
You have to be careful with the like opening paragraphs, though, I would say.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you look up a character and they have a different identity, it'll show you immediately the identity, their other identity. That's the real big risk.
Yeah. So maybe don't open character pages. Maybe book pages are okay.
You should have like a wiki that it does like before you enter it, you just click which books you've read and then it just hides different sections.
Yeah.
Or even if it hides, sometimes you look up a character and it'll be like, click on this for who this character really is. It's like, really? Like, okay, so now I know that there's somebody.
That is so true. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah. All right, are we ready for quotes?
Yes.
Let's wrap it up. Let's do it.
Why not?
Let's do quotes. Yes. Sorry. I had my pencil still on that page where Silkus Ruin was talking to who? Breeze. And he admonishes Breeze to seek for what? Hope exists. Seek for it, Breeze Benedict, in the one who stands at your side from the stranger upon the other side of the street. Be brave enough to endeavor to cross that street. Look neither skyward nor upon the ground. Hope persists, and its voice is compassion and honest doubt. And I want to say he's talking about Trull here. This is after the lecture Silkus Ruin gives Breeze about how his empire is ruled by greed and the god is fallen and he knows nothing but
think
pain.
like he's foreshadowing that Trull is going to be
maybe
potentially
Breeze's
helpful.
friend. Yeah. I'm guessing. Because he says hope exists, but seek it on the opposite side, which
okay.
I think he means
like that.
The one Tisteder who's expressing any doubt.
Honest doubt.
I like that.
All right. I got that. Yeah, another Silkus Ruin. I mean, he was just throwing out line, bar after bar. Here he is talking about the Forcruel Assail and describing who they are, their culture, their philosophy, their beliefs. To achieve peace, destruction is delivered. To give the gifts of freedom, one promises eternal imprisonment. Adjudication obviates the need for justice. This is a studied, deliberate embrace of a diametric opposition. It is a belief in balance, a belief asserted with conviction of religion. But in this case, the proof of God's power lies not in the cause, but in the effect. Accordingly, in this world and in all others, proof is achieved by action. And therefore, all action, including the act of choosing inaction, is inherently moral. No deed stands outside the moral context. At the same time, the most morally perfect act is the one taken in opposition to what has occurred before. A little bit more. In this civilization, he continued, its citizens were bound to acts of utmost savagery, talking about the Forcruel Assail. Vast cities were constructed beneath the world's surface, each chamber, every building assembled as the physical expression of the quality of absence. Solid rock matched by empty space. From these places where they did not dwell, but simply gathered, they set out to achieve balance. And basically, he just goes on to talk about how they like to murder people.
Yeah, that was quite confusing, wasn't it? The description of the, I don't know, where they lived or where they gathered. And I'm not sure if I understood why it was important.
I reread it multiple times, definitely, because there was a lot there. I think their point was that they were like, my reading of it was in some ways that they were like, they talk about how all of the statues, the markings, is like have no face. So it's getting rid of their identity and becoming part of this larger moral mission. And that they did not form proper homes, proper communities, because they did not want to form bonds, form like individual connections that way. But I may have misread that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does.
Okay. Any other quotes?
Steering us away from the darkness. When Bug shows up with to the Ratcatchers Guild, the guy asks a few questions, and Bug says, "No, I don't want you to catch rats for me." And then he says, "What contract do you want?" or whatever. Like, there's a series of questions. And then at the end of it, when Bug says no to all of them, he's just like, "We're not responsible. Whatever it is you come here to accuse us of, we're not responsible." What else? I think all the stuff that I underlined, we already talked about.
Yeah.
Yep. We had all
Talked
my
about
quotes.
a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Dan, the master of quotes.
Yes.
Yeah. Let me see. Can I remember any quote just from the top of my mind?
We haven't asked ChatGPT in a while. How about we do that?
True. I should check
The
sometime.
golden quotes.
The best quotes are the ChatGPT hallucinations of quotes.
I actually have one. I just found it, but I think it's good, and we haven't really covered it.
Mhm.
The god is fallen. He crouches now, seeding devastation. Rise and fall, and with each renewal, the guiding spirit is less weaker, more tightly chained to a vision bereft of hope. So is this referencing the different chainings of the crippled god, like his attempts of, doing something about his position and his situation, and then several times during the history, the powerful entities gathered and kind of shut him down. So rise and fall.
That's a great observation. That's interesting.
Maybe.
And more tightly chained to a vision bereft of hope. So I guess there is the chain reference again.
Getting worse and worse and worse as it goes on, losing more and more hope. Does make you wonder what he was like when he first fell. How did he go about the world?
Supposedly they brought him down to destroy Calor, right?
Yeah.
And Calor got ahead of it and nuked his continent, maybe. Or maybe the meteor that the crippled god was ruined that continent. Either way, that was done. Why did all these gods then decide to chain the crippled god? I mean, I'm sure that's all behind the scenes. I don't have the answers. I don't know. Are they channeling his power in some way? Are they afraid of his power? And can they just send him back where they brought him down from? Why the repeated chainings? I think that's something I've been very interested in.
I think they said they can't kill him and they can't send him back, and the only way they can limit him is by chaining it. That's what I thought.
Okay, interesting. I
suggested.
didn't realize that. So some random mages in Kalor's kingdom brought him down, and then the gods were involved in the chaining.
Yeah, you almost thought like if a bunch of random mages could bring him down, why can't all these super powerful ascendants send him back? I don't know, maybe a good question for Steven Erikson.
Erikson, explain yourself.
What do the gods want with this other god?
You are on trial on behalf of the crippled god.
Yeah.
Just send him home. Send him
Yeah.
home. What are you doing?
So that poem that we talked about last week, I think the one that I said might be about Rulad, where I think it was "you are written this way" was a bit of a refrain in that. I also wonder if that's sort of the author's hand in all of it. Like we talked about maybe Trall's expectations shaping Rulad's character, but also this is how the author wrote this character. Like he's playing a particular role. So kind of like when Rowling said she wanted to take Harry out for lunch and apologize to him. And I don't know, this felt a little bit like, yeah, I'm sorry I've written you this way. So maybe the cripple god is also like that. And anyway, any other quotes?
Maybe wasn't a quote like "That's a soul." You know, when instead of like a when they were talking about the soup,
Yes.
and it was not
That's a
not
quote.
an
God.
eel, and I think
Yeah.
Kettle says, "But that's a soul." And then they discuss the things that the guy must have stepped on.
Yeah. It still tastes fishy.
flavor.
Because he stepped on an eel. That's
Yeah, he
No,
must have
but
been walking around with dogs, right?
there was one and then they offer that soup to Breeze and then smile evilly at each other when he accepts.
Nasty.
But also,
Nasty.
Tehol makes an observation that he's losing weight lately. Maybe it could also be that the woolen pants are stretching because you're not eating.
I'm sure he would be
Eating
dead if he
shoe
was
soup.
eating that. Yeah.
That's not going to go very far.
Shoe soup is not very nutritious, no matter
Like-
where the man may have stepped.
What did
Anyway.
Bug make before? Like all the stuff he made was not like actual food, right?
Yes, none of it was actual food. The one thing, it was surprising that he actually had an eel this time, but it turned out to be a soul that has stepped on an eel.
And was it like the tea? What was it? It was like some like cloth or something, some wool.
Yes.
Then he made something else which was very questionable.
Everything he makes is
remember.
questionable.
Yeah, I wouldn't eat anything Bug put before me. No way.
But why are they doing that? Why can't they just live like poor but normal people?
I was wondering that as well. Like this isn't an intentional choice. Like there gets to a point where you think you're like, oh, I'm gonna live among the common folk. You know, I'm gonna learn what it's like to be them. Like he's cosplaying the most extreme form of poverty imaginable. It's crazy.
Yeah.
This
I
guy.
don't know.
I love Tehol. He's this
Yeah.
guy. That's all I can say.
This guy. Well, he also expressed a desire for actual food at some point. Hope he gets it before the end of the book. When
hope
I
he gets
read
it before he
Dresden Files,
starves.
I worry because Harry Dresden never gets any sleep over the course of the investigation. I worry for Tehol because he's not getting to eat.
Yeah.
I mean, he must be eating in like off stage because he would be dead otherwise if he was
That's
just
true.
eating this sort of stuff. I think he does steal. Doesn't he take advantage every time he meets some associates at like a bar or something?
That's true.
And eats the food they have.
That is true.
Genius.
Maybe that's how he eats.
Yeah, that's how you get rich, you know? By eating other
By not
people's food. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll be back next week with the next 3 chapters, which is 15, 16, and 17.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Bye.